Did you know 7 out of 10 athletes don't know where to start when it comes to college recruiting? Lucky for you, Full Out Collegiate Recruiting has the roadmap. From day one to signing on the dotted line, they'll guide you every step of the way. Visit fulloutrecruit.com to get started. Follow them on social media at fulloutrecruit or visit them on the web at fulloutrecruit.com. Check them out today.
And so then it was hard not to think about it because I was like, I never thought I could take time off and then come back. It's just, I felt like it was unheard of. When I finished my routine and I landed, I thought, okay, great. That's about the best routine that I can do. And so I'm really happy with that.
I'm a Region 5, already or not, here I come, coming in hot. I'ma take my body for a spin.
Welcome back to the College Salute Podcast, the only place to stay updated on how our Region 5 alums are doing during their NCAA careers. We are back with our Alumni Conversations, and we are starting off with a bang. Want to know with who? Well, the Beam Queen of 2025 herself, Helen HU. She returned to the NCAA after a year off and was perfect, literally, as well as collect some much-deserved hardware. And really, it was about time HU DAT was all that in the eyes of the judges. We are going to have a full-out breakdown of this last Cinderella year and get her impressions. But first, you know who goes full out? Full Out Recruiting. They are focused on helping their clients reach their college gymnastics goals with resources and guidance to athletes, coaches, and parents through the college recruiting process. They go full out to make the experience a fun and productive one. Do you have anxiety about college coaching phone calls? Or want to know how to avoid mistakes? You need to check out Full Out. Thank you to Full Out Recruiting for sponsoring the College Salute Podcast and your continued support of the Region 5 media platform. Well, Kim introduces our alumni guests like no other. So, Kim, the mic is yours.
Helen HU. It's big flippin' time, baby. We be big flippin', getting tens. We be big flippin' right to the ends. You know she flips them, flops them, sticks them, loves them, 'cause getting tens is her new custom. First time we fussed, she didn't beat them. Judges talking for some odd reason. Just give her tens, it's her season. Better trust them and believe them. The gymternet is up in arms, but there's a reason. Helen HU is back on beam for the season. So let's go, oh. 'Cause she's big flippin', getting her tens. 'Cause she's big flippin', taking Mizzou to the end. 'Cause she's big flippin', our balance beam queen. So check them out, 'cause it's her time. So let's go, oh. It's time to meet her now and end this I'm.
Well, there you go, Helen.
Yeah.
There's your personal rap
Wow,
from the
thank
College
you.
Salute Podcast. And we'd like to welcome Helen HU to our podcast, a returnee. And I think it's maybe first or second. Is there a second, Kim, returnee that we've had?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, you know, she's been on the podcast before earlier in her career and back on now. So we're excited to have you on. Thank you for taking time out in your European travels to join us on our pod here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, speaking at, you're in Europe now, but you backpacked through Europe a year ago. And that's kind of where everything, I guess, took frame, took shape, what have you. First of all, just talk a little bit about, you know, that experience and kind of how that led you back into gymnastics.
Yeah, in 2023, I was in a lot of physical pain, dealing with a chronic back injury. And so I was offered the opportunity to take a fifth year, and I knew I couldn't take it because I loved gymnastics so much, but I couldn't put my best foot forward because I was just hurting so much. And, you know, being in physical pain also causes mental burnout. And so I just figured that was my body telling me it was my time to be done. And my sister and I, when we were stuck in our house during quarantine, we made this big plan to go out and travel for this whole year together. And, you know, when you're cooped up in quarantine, you say a lot of stuff. I didn't think it would actually happen. But a couple months before graduation, we had a FaceTime call. We started booking flights, and I said, okay, this is really happening. She quit her job. And I hadn't seen her in 3 years since quarantine in 2020 because she was living in China after that. And so I hadn't seen her for 3 years, met up with her in Japan, and we went off and traveled for 11 months with one backpack, not a lot of stuff, and stayed at a lot of different hostels, met a lot of really cool people, and really just gave me so much time to recover and heal and figure out what my life was outside of gymnastics. And so I think coming back from that travel, I felt a lot more confidence in myself as a person. And I think that also set me up for kind of the performance I had for this season when I came back.
Well, it was really cool watching you and your sister travel through Europe and Asia, not Europe, Asia and everything, and where all the places you went. I kind of followed it on social media. So we're like, where is Helen today? And then all of a sudden, where is Helen today? And then bam, you were back at school, going back to Missouri. So on your travels, like kind of talk about the decision to return to a 5th year of gymnastics.
Yeah, so I had no idea I was going to take that 5th year until I was back in the States, actually. I came back to the U.S. early June because Adelena was getting married, and I was one of her bridesmaids. And so I got to Missouri. I stayed there for about a week leading up to the wedding, hoping that I could see her a little bit and also catch up with all my old Missouri friends, the team, the coaches, all that. And so I stayed at Jocelyn Moore's place. Feels weird saying her full name. I stayed at Jossie's, and obviously she had summer training, and so I wasn't just going to sit at her apartment and wait for her to come back. I was going to go to the gym. So I would join her, and I wanted to say hi to the team and catch up with everyone. And I think that was a Monday or a Tuesday when I was there, and I just had the itch to jump on the beam and see what I could do. And I had stayed really active during my travels. I did a lot of hiking, swimming, surfing, yoga, you name it. I kind of tried it just to stay active. And so I did a good 30-minute stretch to make sure I wouldn't hurt myself. And then I got up on the beam and I threw one aerial, and I was like, ooh, that was nice. No wobble. Okay, let me see if I can do 2. So I ended up doing my series and my jumps and essentially my whole routine except my dismount. And Shannon was like, wow, that still looks good. You could still take a 5th year that you never took. And I honestly laughed in his face. I was like, yeah, sure, Shannon, that's a good one. But then he really sat me down. He's like, no, this is a real offer. Like, if you wanted to take a 5th year, we have a space for you and we'd love you to come back. And I couldn't take it seriously because, mentally and emotionally, like I had finished gymnastics. I had decided to retire. And so it was like, once you close that book in your head, it's so hard to open up that and think of it as a real opportunity and a chance. And so initially I thought it was just a really funny joke and I didn't take him seriously. But then I think he recruited Jossie and Mara. He kind of pulled them aside when I wasn't looking. And I only found out about this later. But he pulled them aside and was like, hey, I need you to help me get Helen on board. Like, just keep telling her how cool it would be if she actually came back and really try to talk her into it. And so, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all leading up to the wedding on that weekend, I was coming to practice, messing around, having fun. And Mara and Jossie just kept being like, yeah, you really could. Like, you should come back. And so then it was hard not to think about it because I was like, I never thought I could take time off and then come back. It's just, I felt like it was unheard of. And so honestly, by the end of that week, Lena's wedding was on Saturday. I remember being at the wedding and I was talking to Lena about it. I was like, I think I might take a 5th year now. They had gotten it into my head and I started really thinking of it as a possibility. So probably by the end of that week, I knew that I wanted to, but whether or not I actually would, there was a lot of logistics that I was unsure about and whether my eligibility would actually work. And so I talked to Shannon at the wedding. He was there. And I told him that I wanted to look into this as a real thing. And so it took about a month of back and forth emails and calls and exchanging information with compliance people to figure out if I really could take the 5th year. And pretty much by mid-July, I started training. I was like, this is real. I know I have eligibility now. We just got to work out the kinks. And so, yeah, I started training mid-July. I started texting videos of my beam skills to Lacey. And I think they kept it from the team until August. They revealed it in August that I was coming back. And that's when I started visiting once a month just to show what my training looked like in person and for me to meet the team. But it was really, it's looking back on it now, is a really crazy mix of things that led up to my comeback.
Now, did you have to do school during all this time too? How does that work? Did you did you take classes too Like, did you do it online? Did you go to Missouri? Like, I'm confused. Explain it to me.
So you don't have to be enrolled in fall semester to compete. You only have to be enrolled in classes while you're competing. And so I enrolled in only the spring semester.
Okay.
So for all of fall, I was just coaching at my gym and doing my own training in the same gym. So it and I had already lined up that job to coach before I even knew I was going to come back. And so it kind of just worked out for me that I had access to my club gym like that. And I even started training and doing little competitions with the level 10 girls there. It was quite fun.
That's awesome.
Well, I just find it, first of all, I find it hilarious that you've been out for a year and only 30 minutes is needed to stretch and get back up on the balance beam and do your skills. My second thing is, in that wedding, were you sore? Were you able to dance? Because, I mean, you did gymnastics for the first time in a year. I mean, were you, like, able to move at the wedding?
Yeah, I felt great, honestly.
Jason, she had been swimming and doing yoga and surfing and staying active. Did you not hear that part?
And front arrowing through Asia, apparently.
Yeah.
But I found it hilarious when I found out that you had been back training in about, like, I think it was maybe December, but I wasn't 100% sure if it was true. It was a rumor. And then we saw you in a picture at Missouri in some team thing that you guys, when you came back to start the season or whatever. And I'm like, so, well, she's there, but for some reason, I mean, I look back in the results, you did compete week 1, but for some reason I thought you didn't. And I don't know why I did, because I was like, well, did we see her? When did we see her? But, you know, training at home and expecting to go back and, you know, and obviously training against the level 10 athletes like Cameron and, you know, anything against Cameron, I'm sure was a fun competition, but there's a competitive one. You know, it's funny because you, Livia, and Cameron, like the three of you are very similar and different, all in the same breath, but you're all three very competitive, and it's just so funny on how, like, the differences and the similarities between the three of you. Actually, Irina and I talked about that at Nationals. But what was that like, just training at home with the anticipation of going back to Missouri?
It was really weird. I mean, I was showing up to the gym 2-3 hours before I had to coach, and so I had the gym completely to myself. It was empty. It was just me, an empty gym, buzzing lights, and some music that I put on. And so I had never trained and done gymnastics completely alone like that, without even a coach or a teammate. And so it was weird at first, but it also allowed me to have fun with gymnastics in a way that was really freeing because nobody was watching. And so I could kind of just goof around and do whatever I felt like doing on beam, in addition to obviously some assignments and getting a certain number of skills done. But I was also just on the beam dancing, doing really random stuff, seeing what I could do and playing around with dance moves because I thought, you know, if I'm going to come back and do this, I want to make the most of this one event. Because I had told Shannon there was no way I was getting back on bars. That's what was causing a ton of back pain my senior year. And so, you know, I wasn't going to push my luck. So I told him, if you want me back, it's only going to be beam. And he agreed to it. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to put everything I have into this. And so that's why I have random stuff like the moonwalk, because I was just alone in this gym. And I was like, I wonder if I could do this. Like, this would be a fun idea. And so, yeah, initially it felt kind of lonely and weird. But then I started having a lot of fun and kind of knowing that no one was watching me. It's just gymnastics was for myself. And that was a completely new experience for me. But then also I had to practice with people watching because obviously there's a lot of eyes on you in college gym and the pressure. And so then I had to ease myself into showing some level 4s and 5s and then showing my coach and then getting up on doing little competitions with the level 10s. Irina would organize it. And so that really helped me prepare for some of the pressure.
Well, I know Irina is very good at figuring out little games, like you said, like that. I mean, I remember when I was in the gym filming you back when you were, you know, just entering level, like I think it was just after level 9 when you were being 10 when we did that whole documentary thing. And you guys would do routines and stuff with the same people on the beam. Like you would do 2 at the same time and all that kind of fun stuff. Talk maybe just a little bit about kind of some of those type things that really definitely got you into that mindset of, hey, because, you know, we're going to talk about the last 5 weeks of the season in a little bit. Just the amazing on how solid, like literally solid, like you could a tornado could have gone through the arena and Helen would still be on the beam. I mean, it was just ridiculously awesome, basically, to see it. Like, did that, because I could see Irina probably helping you guide you through that because she has that just that knack for that type stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so much of my skill and my abilities to focus and also just enjoy competing beam comes from the years of training that I did from growing up with her. And like you said, I mean, I had synchronized routines with Olivia Karras on the beam. We did handspring layout together, you know, starting one person at the end, one in the middle.
It was crazy.
And when you're doing stuff like that, it's not, oh God, I have to do really good. I'm going to try this crazy thing and have fun on the beam. And so it's just a different mindset. And I think I've always had that because I've always been really solid on beam. I think it was just that year off is just like that last ingredient I needed to really own beam the way I did because I've never felt so mentally and emotionally recharged than I did when I came back this year. Because, you know, middle school, high school, college, like you're just always on the grind. You never get more than a week or two off. And so there's always some exhaustion. And I think I didn't realize how used to that I was until I took time off and came back, and I felt so mentally sharp and able to handle tougher days and really find that super focused flow state that I used to kind of hit maybe every couple of weeks. And then I was starting to figure out how to hit that every time I needed it. But yeah, I mean, the years of training with Irina, having fun, and then also doing lots of competitions with your teammates, it made competition fun rather than something that was stressful.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Cameron showed up with a new series at Nationals, so that makes sense. You know, she just, I'm going to do a new series. I'll see if we can make it to Nationals. Okay. No, it's IK. That's IK.
You know, I did try that beam game once with kids that with two people on a beam, it didn't work. It did not work like it did for you guys at all. It was a great idea. Only for IK. It did not work.
It only works in a certain four walls. And then...
Oh, yeah. I showed after we tried it, I showed my kids, and I'm like, this is what we were trying to do here. They're like, oh.
And like the stall bar stuff that they would do, like the flexibility stuff. I have some of that video. I should find that and post some of that, like all the stalder and all the like press and turn and stuff you guys do. Oh, that was crazy. That was so amazing.
I think Irina will get bored of doing the same things, and so we were always doing something different each year. So you got a wide variety of experience.
I do have to say, and I know Kim would agree, I didn't think they would ever change leotards.
Oh my God.
And they did that, so that was
shocked.
I know, I'm looking at you.
Let me tell you, I was so excited. Like, I sent an email, like, I texted you, I'm like, they changed the lead. I was so excited. I know, she likes her.
Yeah, people wouldn't know the name of IK, but when I told them I was the one with that bold velvet blue Leo, they would,
that gym.
Because that's the Leo everybody always talks about.
Well, I know after a while, GK had said, like, we can't make this anymore. Like, they just had that just for her. So I thought that was great.
It was crazy.
But speaking of leotards, you got to change leotards every week at Missouri. But what were your expectations going into this final fifth year? Like, did you have these grand expectations for yourself, or were you just like, I'm just going to go and see what happens? What were your true expectations prior to this season?
Yeah, I think same mindset I've always had coming into gymnastics. I never had a score in mind or a result in mind. I just wanted to leave a meet knowing that I did the best of my abilities. I wanted to leave a meet knowing that that was what I trained for. That's what I knew that I could do. Because judging is so subjective, especially in college. You know, those scores can change a lot depending on where you are and what team you're on. And so I didn't want to put all this hard work and preparation in and be upset because I got a number that I didn't want or I didn't get placed in a certain way. And so, yeah, my motto that whole year was just, I'm going to go out and have fun, and I'm going to enjoy gymnastics and compete beam like I've never competed before, and like take it to that next level. And whether or not I got a perfect 10 or whether or not we'd go to nationals, it was, you know, I felt like I'm not going to focus on that because that's not in my controllables. I'm going to focus on what I control. And so I did not think I would achieve everything that I did this season. And I think that's what made it extra special because it wasn't an expectation that I'd set and say, okay, I achieved what I was supposed to do. You know, I never dreamed of getting all the 10s that I got and going to final day nationals. I mean, every step of the way was just like my mind was getting blown again because I was like, wow, I can't believe this is happening because I really didn't set hard expectations on myself. I just wanted to go out and have fun. And that's what I did. And what came of it was more than I ever thought I'd get.
you were the queen of 9975s in your first 4 years, 2.5 years. I mean, you and Q. I mean, we always talked about on the podcast like 9975, 9975, 9975. It only took you 3 weeks in your return to get that 10 that, you know, everyone thought you should have and have had for many years. It happened at Oklahoma. And in week 3, talk just a little bit about that routine, because that was obviously your first. I'm sure you remember it. And then when that 10 came up, just kind of what went through your mind. Because I remember your teammate. I remember watching that meet. I remember your teammates like just basically swarming. I mean, it was just a big deal.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most memorable moments of my career, not just the season, but the first 2 meets of season didn't go great for me. Not that they went poorly, but first week I kind of had a wobble. Second week, I had a slight, I wouldn't say wobble, but my series wasn't as clean and controlled as it could be. And so there were just some little things. And I think I hadn't even hit 9-9 yet in either of those 2 meets. And so at that point, I'm thinking, you know, let me just get a 9-9, please. Like, I just want a 9-9 and hit a clean routine, do the routines that I've been showing all fall semester that I haven't shown yet this season. And so I think that was probably the first week I also got up on the beam and everything went quiet for me. And it was just me and the beam. And this is like kind of that flow state I was talking about that I love being in. And it's really hard to kind of learn how to control. But, you know, OU is such a loud environment. I mean, the crowd is going crazy and the lights are bright. And I think something about that intense setting, just something clicked and I hit that zone and I was just enjoying each skill, each pose. I tried to smile as much as I could. And once I stuck that dismount, I felt really good about it. I thought for sure that's a 995. I finally broke the 99. Like, there's no way I can get lower than a 995. Maybe I'll get a 9975. And so I was really thrilled with the performance of the routine itself. And I was really happy with that. But we're in OU. I mean, it's a tough crowd there. At an away meet and during a season that, you know, judging had started getting really tight or started off really, really tight. Mm-hmm. So no, I had no idea I was going to get the 10-0. And so when they flashed the number, I was just like instantly crying. And yeah, my whole team swarmed me and they were grabbing me and shaking me. And
yes, it was crazy. It was crazy.
It was like, it was utter shock. And my knees buckled a little bit. My teammate grabbed me and then lifted me back up and then started shaking me. And I was like, oh my God, somebody help me. But yeah, lots of tears, lots of emotions, and just, I was so excited.
Yeah, I remember thinking you got, like, when the 10 came up, I'm like, yes, as she should. She should get a 10. Absolutely. It's about time. But did you know it was the first 10, like, of the entire season? Well, maybe not in the moment, but, like, when did you realize, like, hey, I got the first 10? Like, how cool?
Yeah, that took me a while to realize because, some people started saying that. They were grabbing me like, Helen, that was the first one. And I kept being like, yeah, I know, the first one of my career. I'm so excited.
No, it's the first.
Yeah, and so people kept telling me it's the first one. And I was like, guys, of course I would know. It's my first one. I'm really excited. I was not understanding. And I was still very much in shock, trying to just process the fact that I got a 10. And then it wasn't until our media person, when he was pulling me aside, like, hey, we have to do an interview, you know, like, you're a big deal. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he's like, no, like, truly, like, everyone's been waiting this whole season, like, who's going to get that first 10-0 because they've been so tight with judging. And I was like, oh, I'm the first of the year. Okay. Like, it took a lot of people to get that straight in my head. And so that did add to kind of the excitement. But honestly, whether or not it was the first, I mean, that doesn't matter so much to me personally. It is really cool that I was the first. But for me, it was the first 10 for me. And so no matter how many other people got it, I was just excited for myself because I had been waiting so long for it.
So this season, though, you did switch up your beam routine a little bit, going front aerial, and then gainer pike off the end. So what made you switch the beam routine up from the past routine, switch the dismount? Did you just want a fresh routine going into your 5th year, or you just do what worked for you? What was the decision?
Yeah, when I started training again in July, most of my skills came back quite easily. But the dismount was really tough. My old gainer layout full off the side, I was really struggling. And some of that was just, I didn't have the same explosive power. I think that was one thing that I did kind of lose. And so I couldn't jump off my one leg and generate enough rotation. I was landing on my knees over and over again. And I was really struggling. And so it wasn't until I visited in August when Lacey suggested I try a different dismount with kind of her help, because learning something new by yourself is kind of, difficult. And so it was my visit, I think in August, that I started trying some gainer drills and I threw some into the pit. And after about a month of training it, I had it confidently on a real mat, on a real landing. And that's when I thought, okay, I think this is the dismount for me. And so I kept training both dismounts for a little bit just to be careful, but that gainer pike just fit me so much better, and sticking it was so much easier for me, because even up until my senior year, that dismount was usually where I lost my some deduction. So
Yeah, I had mentioned that one of the during the week or a couple weeks into the season. I said, I think that dismount fits her better, and it actually is obviously easier in which to spot the landing. You didn't stick every single meet, but the one thing I know you did start off doing your front aerial to scale. You did start the season off doing that, and then all of a sudden front aerial, and you didn't look back. Kind of, was it just because it's easier obviously to stick front aerial, but even though you do a nice front aerial to scale, everyone loves, and thinks it's looks great.
Absolutely. Yeah. I really wanted to keep the scale. That was probably one thing that I was a little bit stubborn with. But that's where I got some deduction. The second week of competition in Denver, I almost over-rotated it and I lost a little bit of control doing the one-legged landing. And I think the one-legged landing, I can probably hit 8 out of 10 times. But to 2 legs, that's 10 out of 10 times. And so in warm-ups in Oklahoma, I was warming it up to scale and I fell. And I wasn't nervous about it. I was like, yeah, it happens. Now I got the fall out the way and I won't fall on the show. That's how I think about things. But that's Shannon got a little nervous and he said, why don't we just do the 2 leg this time? Just this time. And I said, okay, sure. And then I got the perfect 10-0 and he said,
like, okay.
I think, yeah. And then, it's hard to argue once you've got a perfect 10 with the routine. He's like, I think that's the routine for us. And I was like, dang it. I was like, okay, fine.
Now, when you're up on beam, you always look so just confident and cool and just it's like smooth. You look smooth, like it flows effortlessly. What is something you say like before your routine, or do you talk to yourself during your routine? Like how do you get yourself ready for that moment, in that big crazy moment, to do that beautiful flowy, smooth beam routine?
Yeah, I mean I don't have a lot of coherent thoughts when I'm competing. I think it's just repeat what I train. And so when I practice, even just parts or skills, I dance into them, I dance out of them, and I practice each part of my choreography so often that it's like ingrained in me. I can't perform that routine without it being all flowing together. And I would practice choreography routines on my own all the time in the gym and watch it. I would play back on the TV at IK and I'd watch my routine and I'd say, okay, this part kind of looks awkward and this part needs to be faster or slower. And so I did a lot of video replay and kind of played around with that choreography a bunch on my own to make it as comfortable and fluid as I could. And so once you train that over and over and over again for 5 months, once it's time to salute, it's just automatic, the dance.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's actually funny because there are a couple times during the season, and even on some of your high 9-9 routines, you had like maybe a slight pause or a slight wobble on not wobble, but handstand thing on your Diamondov thing and stuff. And I don't think people who've watched you do it for years are like, oh my God, she had a little pause and then 9-9-7-5. I'm like, oh, they didn't catch it. Well, they probably don't even know it's supposed to be that way, just because, those type of things. I mean, IK, like we always mentioned, is always known for cool, just original, different stuff. You've been doing that for a long time. It wasn't like you came back your 5th year, I'm going to throw a Diamondov in my beam routine. You've been doing it for a long time. But does those type of things ever make you nervous? Like when you get to that point, you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to mess up on this skill that I'm the only one that does in my routine.
I've definitely made myself nervous as I'm doing it a couple times because, like you said, there's been a few times in competition where the start of it didn't go as smoothly as
I think it happened in NCAAs. I think it was in one of your NCAA routines. You actually had a pause in the routine.
Final day, I almost under.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew there was one.
Actually, my perfect 10-0 at OU, if you look back on it, I kicked out into the handstand so aggressively that I almost tipped it over. So like my split went like past 180, and then I had to engage like everything in my core to pull that thing back over.
Thank God for
and then
yoga.
I had to pause because like I have to show that I'm in control. That was intentional. Nobody but that moment, like there was a couple moments that were really scary because there was a split second where I thought, oh my God, I might fall. And then I'd pull it back together and then I'd be calm.
See that there was that yoga, there you go. Good crazy. From week 8 at home against Georgia to the NCAA finals, final day, 4 on the floor, you scored nothing lower than a 9.9. Can you just talk a little bit about, because your routine is not easy. I mean, front aerial, for you, it could be easy, and you make it look like we could just jump up there and do it. Now, I would be dead and break half my body trying. I can't do a front aerial on the floor, so that would make sense. But just the calmness. I mean, I think we're more nervous. Now, I'm just saying this, but we're more nervous to watch you do beam than you may go up there and do it because you make it look so easy. I know it's not, but you do make it look easy. Did you, I don't know if you thought you were at 9.9s, all this whole string of 9.9s. I'm sure you know because you know your scores. But how do you go up there with that and just do that routine the same week in and week out? Because, dang. This year was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was really crazy. I don't know. It's hard to put into words. I mean, obviously looking back on it now, it seems like this really crazy achievement to be on it every single week. But when you're going through it, for me, I'm pretty good at breaking things down. And so for me, once a week is over, that week is over. So it doesn't matter what I scored last week or what I think I might score next week. This is a beam routine that I want to do right now, and I'm going to smile through it, and I'm going to have fun with it because it's one of my last, 5, 6, whatever routines that I get to compete in this really cool environment for college gymnastics. And so I think that was a lot of just being able to stay present and taking it day by day. And, once you're in the routine, taking it skill by skill, everything was just breaking it down because nothing ever really seemed too big of a deal while I was doing it.
So just the audience were nervous and sweating and like your regional routines, I think stand out as the most. I'm like, how can she physically, literally a 10th separated you and Auburn, like literally a 10th, wasn't it? I think that was that meet, wasn't it? Like from qualifying, if I'm not mistaken, because weren't you guys out in Seattle, right? Were you in Seattle? Where were you guys?
Yes, it was in Seattle.
Yes, yeah, it was Auburn. You literally, if I'm not mistaken, it was 1/10 separating, and you had to go up there and score. No, obviously a 10.0, but no, actually, was that? No, that wasn't the prelims. That was the first day that you scored the 10.
Yeah, 10
but anyway,
was
regardless, you got what you needed to qualify on. But the routine looked no different than the day before. It was amazing to watch you just compete. And not that the last 4 years before were any different, but you would make some little, errors here, like you'd wobble here on the things because you had aerial to scale and all this stuff. You were doing things, but just the fact that just for weeks you could literally just, maybe they just pushed play and somehow put a video up there. We don't really see it because we're watching it from TV. It's not her really competing. No one's on the beam right now from Missouri. They're playing a video of Helen HU from 2 weeks ago. I mean, it was crazy. It was just, I'm glad we got to see it. But
Thank you.
A free way to support our show is by leaving a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the College Salute podcast. Tell us what you love about the show or what you'd like to see improved. The review helps others discover our podcast and join our Region 5 family. Help us to grow our podcast, which is the only regionally based gymnastics podcast in the country. We continue to show our love for our Region 5 alums throughout their college careers, so please show us some love with a review and a 5-star rating. You want to follow along and find out more about our Region 5 alums? We have 2 social channels completely dedicated to our Region 5 alums. Make sure you follow Region 5 College Salute Podcast on Instagram, where you can see Helen's first ever Perfect 10, along with her SEC Championship routine. It's where our podcast links are posted, and of course, all the awesome photos Kim takes during the NCAA season. Like watching us fan over our alums? Then check out the video of our podcast on our podcast YouTube channel at R5 College Salute. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to be notified when a new podcast is uploaded, or watch many hours of routines from this past NCAA season. Follow and subscribe to both of these social channels to keep up with the Region 5 alums all year long.
I think I enjoyed though watching your gymnastics, your beam this season. Like, okay, I always enjoy watching your gymnastics, but I think this season is just different watching your beam. Like, you just seemed more, just as I've said before, calm and just confident. And it just was more, I don't know, not entertaining, but it was just different. Like, you just seemed different. You could definitely tell that, like, this is your 5th year. There was more of a lightness about everything you did. And I was never stressed out. I knew she was always going to hit that beam routine.
Well, there you go. Kim was on it.
I will say this year there was something extra special about the way I was able to compete and do my gymnastics. And again, that's, I think, for the first time probably since I was a child, that I realized that I wasn't dealing with some sort of mental burnout, physical exhaustion, physical pain. I mean, it's the 1 year off did wonders for me, truly, because not only did I come back with no physical pain and having gotten lots of sleep and lots of rest and emotional recovery. And then also, I think some of that confidence came from, leaving the sport and figuring out a little bit of who I was outside of the sport. I think made me that much more powerful when I came back to do it, because I was able to approach it with, okay, gymnastics is not my whole life. It's not my whole existence. If I fall in this routine, it doesn't mean that I suck as a person, and as much as you can tell yourself that before, when gymnastics is your whole life, it's still hard not to connect your identity and your self-worth to your performance. And so stepping away from the sport, being okay with who I was outside of it, gave me the ability to come back and really attack beam in a freeing way, because I knew that it didn't define me anymore in a way that you really can't do when you've just been doing the sport nonstop.
Yeah. But yeah, I just, this season was just, so many things. You were just so gorgeous on beam this season. Like, for you though, it literally was, a Cinderella-ish story. Like, we're going to take all this, we're going to take some time off. We're going to go gallivanting around Southeast Asia, and then we're going to come score tens and win beam titles. Like, has it hit you yet though? Like, just the kind of season you had, and like, just how you truly are finished off your career now. Like, has that yet hit you? Because I mean, now you can't take a 6th year, unfortunately, but like, that was literally done. It's over now. So has it really hit you yet? Like, just the gravity of this season for you, with what you have done personally and with what you did with Missouri.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's something I'm still processing for sure. I mean, it's been over a month now, and I still think it'll just pop into my head sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, that really happened. And so no, I guess some of it has hit me, and some of it I think I will be thinking about maybe for the next decade. Because there was just so much that happened one after another each week. And I think during season, I was just trying not to let it build up in my head and have, oh God, now I'm Helen HU who's gotten a 10. I need to like live up to, and so I really tried as hard as I could not to think about big picture. So I was just, again, breaking it down, compartmentalize, let me focus on what I have right in front of me. And so now I'm still reeling and spending time of actually looking at this season as a big picture, because I think everyone else has been looking at it in the grand scheme of what it looks like from the outside. And I've been avoiding that because I wanted to stay focused. And so, yeah, absolutely. I'm still kind of reeling over all the accolades that I collected. And I still can't believe that I went and I got the national beam title. I never dreamed that I would have a chance to do that, really. So.
As you should. That's what I'm saying. You should have the national beam title. That's what I'm just saying.
Well, let's break down the last 5 weeks of your gymnastics career, your life in the sport of gymnastics. You have your second 10. You get your second 10. Quickly, just what did that mean to you? I mean, you've already had one. That whole emotional and throwing you across the arena by your teammates. I mean, the second one, what was that like for you?
Yeah, nothing was quite like the first one. And so by the time I got it the second time, this might sound terrible, but I was like, okay.
Been there, done
cool.
that. Been there, done
yeah,
that. Yes.
There's something about like the very first time of like, oh my God, once I've done this, like no one can ever take that away from me. Like I have gotten a perfect 10. And so once I had gotten it, I didn't have expectations to get more. Especially as season went on and we went into postseason, I thought it's only going to get tougher. The scoring's only going to get tighter and pressure's going to be higher. And so I thought, I'm just so happy that I got the 1-10-0 so early in season. Now I don't have to worry about it. So when I got another one in Arkansas, I was super excited, but there was not nearly as much extreme emotions around it. I just thought, that was a good routine. That's what I have been doing, so it's cool. I got another one under my belt.
Understandable. 3 years, because you didn't compete a year due to your ACL. 3 SEC championships that you competed in. No SEC titles. You come back after a year off. SEC championship. What does that mean to you to be the SEC beam champion?
As you should.
That one, I will say, it was especially rewarding because I really felt that in 2023, I hit one of the best beam routines I've ever done, with probably the cleanest, most upright landing on my dismount, which is what I struggled with. And so I remember when I hit that routine, I thought, that's got to be it. Like, I thought that was going to be my 10. I thought I was going to get first place at SECs. And so it was really, that meet was a little bit heartbreaking because I got second place, which, don't get me wrong, is a great honor. But I do remember thinking, because we were in first session, I got scored a little harsher. And I remember watching the routines in second session and I felt that the routines that scored higher than me were not cleaner than mine. And so that was something really frustrating to see. I don't watch college gymnastics online a lot because it makes me angry with some of the judging that happens. But I was at SEC, so I saw in person, I saw the judging bias happen, and that was like, that hurted me. That hurted. Not that that's a real word, but
it is today.
And so I do remember feeling a little jilted, and I don't like getting hung up on stuff like that. But 2023 SECs, I thought that I had deserved the gold medal, and so to come back and get it this year was I think especially sweet, and it felt like good karma coming back to me.
That's good. You deserve it. As do you the next title you receive. Coming back from SECs, 2 weeks leading into regionals. Obviously, your days are numbered here because now as we're getting to where, you could be done the first day. They could be done. Missouri could not advance. So, you don't know that. You get a third 10 in day one, or the semis of regionals. Talk just a little bit about that, because that's a lot of pressure to do and then do it at regionals in a qualifying on type competition. And your only event, that you're competing. And last, if I'm not mistaken, because I think you guys always finish. You seem like you always finish last on beam. Like Missouri was always last on beam, it seemed like.
Aside from final day at nationals, majority of postseason, we just kept ending on beam. Which, is not everyone's favorite order, but I don't know why. I tend to do my best when I have to wait longer to go. Couldn't tell you why, but I really don't mind. I think I just get to enjoy the meet and cheer, and I try to focus on my teammates. And then something about going last, just there's a little bit of extra pressure, but in a way that I know how to channel it into focus. And so I kind of like being able to close out the meet. It's a fun challenge. It's a fun I don't know, I guess, responsibility that I have to finish out the meet and end things on a strong note. But day one regionals, I don't know, I didn't feel nervous. I was just so excited to compete. And I would say day two is, I'm sure that was your next question, but day two regionals, that was scary. I will say, I'm human. That was nerve wracking watching, our leadoff fall. And then I think watching the next two routines or so were probably the most nervous I felt, because I'm so not in control. As much as I trust my teammates, it's a really high pressure scenario, and I would understand following a fall if someone had a wobble or someone kind of freaked out a little bit, didn't do their normal. And so watching the lineup after that, and I always watch all the routines, watching that lineup, day two, the stress got me a little bit. I was feeling really nervous. I could feel my heartbeat, and I thought, man, this is really scary, because we have a lot riding on this, because we have a real shot of qualifying, and it would be so sad to lose it here in this last event rotation. And so I was worried that I would be nervous, and that this was the moment that I would crack. Like Helen HU would, oh no, this is where she crapped the bed. And so I did have those thoughts running through my head as I'm waiting, because there's just nothing else to do. But I think because I had locked in and figured out how to focus in that moment so many weeks before, that once I saluted and once I got my hands on the beam, same thing happened. I stopped hearing whatever was happening around me, and it was just me and the beam and my gymnastics, and I got back to that routine that I always train, and it felt just normal. So once I got on the beam, I was okay, but I will say the 15 minutes leading up to it was really stressful.
Well, I find it awesome that you say that, because you don't even talk about it, but you are already going to Fort Worth because you scored a 10 in preliminaries in the first day. So you were already going. So literally it didn't matter for you because you were going, but you didn't care about that because your team is what you were there for and worried about all your sisters and your friends going. That's the pressure. Like I thought about, I'm like, well, she's already got the regional title. Like she's going to NCAAs. No one can beat her. People could have tied her, but no one could beat her. But to advance, you need to hit because you have a fall. So like that's good to hear that like literally you were nervous for, obviously your team. And I know you would be. I know you would be, but it's just funny when you talk about them like, Helen, you're going to nationals, you're going to continue on, but your team might not. But you would never know you were nervous in that routine. Never. No one. I mean, leading up to it, as you mentioned, nerves went away once you touched the beam, which is cool. But yeah, no, like that was a nerve-wracking. I'm sure that was nerve-wracking for your teammates. I mean, I'm literally sitting there going, can you just be like you were yesterday or 2 days ago? Can you please just be like you were? You don't even have to be that good. Just please. But oh my God, that region. I told you regionals. The regionals was like to watch. I'm just like, can she do this again? The same. I mean, can she just continue this for like weeks on end? And you did. And that leads us to the last competition, the last weekend, final piece of gymnastics that we'll get to see Helen HU do. Kim, stop crying. The national first day is when national titles are won. Was it a goal of yours? And I know it probably was, to be the national champion on beam. Did you think you could be the national champion on beam after the season that you've had, or did you not want to put that pressure on yourself?
Of course, I'm competitive. So in my head, floating around in there, going into nationals day one, I thought I have a chance. If I hit the routine that I know I can hit, I have a shot at it. But that's all it was in my head. I didn't feel like, of course I'm going to get it. I mean, who thinks? I don't know. At least I don't think that way. But I thought I have a real shot, which was really exciting and also a little bit stressful. But again, when it came down to the routine itself, I thought, I'll be honest, I didn't think we would make day two. I thought it wasn't out of our reach and our abilities, but the way the meet started with really tight scoring on vault and floor, I thought, I just assumed we weren't making day two. And I think part of that helped me because I could just go up and be like, this is my last beam routine ever. I'm going to do the worm. I'm going to just be crazy and just be silly and show off that you can have fun with beam. And that's kind of, my biggest focus. And so it's hard. I wanted to win, of course. Who doesn't want to win? But I didn't think I would win. I thought somebody would get a higher score than me. And so, but I know that when I finished my routine and I landed, I thought, okay, great. That's about the best routine that I can do. So I'm really happy with that. And I thought, surely I'll make the podium, maybe third, maybe second, maybe first. But I try not to think about it because it can be really upsetting when you set that expectation, you don't get it and it's not in your control because judging. And so, sorry, I'm rambling a lot.
That's fine.
Yeah, it was something that was kind of in my hopes and my dreams, but I tried not to think about it too much concretely so that I wouldn't be upset if I didn't get it. But certainly I wanted it. I mean, I am really competitive and I'm hungry to do better each time that I get a chance to. And so, yeah, I didn't expect to, but I was really, really happy and I felt deserving of the title when I did get it.
I think you manifested it though during your guys' like promotional photos at the beginning of the year with holding the crown on that stool.
Oh, there you go. See,
you
already knew it. You knew it. But
that was some manifestation right there.
You didn't tell us.
I mean, other people took pictures with the crown, but there was something with the crown and the stool, and you're just like, yeah. That you manifested that right there. You
also didn't leave much room for anybody to beat you. They would have to get a 10 because those who listen to the podcast know, nationals is my favorite because I love the scores at nationals, the 9-9, 8-6, 7-2, 7-7-5, all these extra numbers. I think you did have a 9-9-8 something. Like I think it was like close to like that score. So like they were going to need a 10 to beat you. So like that, and you were you guys finished on beam in prelims, didn't you? I'm pretty sure because I know you did it. I know you did it in super. I know you did it on the final four, but you did on the four on the floor, but you did on the first day, and obviously that was the national championship day, and you won the national title. You go into day two, you are the national champion. Clearly, you've gotten that title. This is your last performance. Okay. You don't start on beam. I think actually you guys were first or second on beam. I can't remember what you started on. I'm trying to picture when floor is, because I always remember with you guys on floor, kind of how that takes the meet, because they usually start on floor, but I can't remember exactly right to this point. But take us through, because you'll remember it. It's your last routine. What was that routine like for you?
Yeah, a lot of emotions. It was definitely, I'd never had that experience of going into a routine knowing for sure that this was my last routine. I had a couple of routines where I thought, yeah, this might be my last routine, but knowing it was a really unique experience. Also hard to put into words, but it felt like doing that routine was just like a big cherry on top of what was already a crazy Sunday of a year. Like I was able to compete really freely pretty much all season, which is why I was able to be so successful. But knowing that I was never going to get back on a beam in front of a table of judges and in a crowd like this, it was really rewarding, and I felt really grateful that I got to be there on the final day. There was something so special to be there with my team and know that we had accomplished so much together. And so it was an emotional routine for me, and I was really happy to be there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There was a lot of emotions, but I was really, really happy to be there. And I couldn't believe that we had a chance to be here all together on the final day, having a shot at, winning nationals. Obviously not that it was going to be tough, but knowing that you're in a competition where that's where you're aiming for, that's where you're at. It was such a privilege, and I was so grateful and happy and kind of wistful to be there competing. But it was super fun. I think, again, I just was like, I'm just going to smile as much as I can, and I'm going to use up. And I was like, let me use up as much of these 90 seconds that I get on this beam. Like, I'm going to take my time and kind of soak up kind of this memory that's going to last me a long time. Yeah, that's kind of the emotions that were going through my head at the time.
See, that's the one thing that I think every athlete would love to have the opportunity to know. Like, some do. Obviously seniors that are on the Final Four and the four on the floor that year, their senior year or their fifth year, whatever it is, they get to know that's it. And, it's tough when you go into it because you don't want it to, that last one's always a little bit emotional. It's the one you're going to remember. I would say you remember your first and you remember your last of everything you do. And, it's just, one of those things, and people don't always get that. I did not get that, that type of thing. So it's like, you don't know, you knew, and that's just cool that you had that. And it just goes to continue on to the Cinderella season that you were able to, finish on your note. That's what it is, and do the same beam routine you always do. So that was just awesome. It's good to hear.
Well, you always remember your first, you always remember your last, but you'll never have to forget that because you have it literally tattooed across your arm. So as the gym Gymternet, found out you have your beam routine tattooed on your arm. So what went into that? Like, what made you want to get the beam routine tattooed on your arm? Like, I mean, it's always going to be with you. I know people who've gotten like the girl from the Code of Points book, like tattooed up their arm like a tumbling pass, but you got the judging marks, correct?
Yes.
So what made you do that? And tell us a little bit about that story.
So I actually had the idea to do this, I believe in 2021. And it only happened because my beam coach at the time, Casey Jo, she was trying to learn all the symbols, the shorthand symbols. And so she wrote out all of our beam routines on the whiteboard in the judging shorthand symbol. And I remember seeing my routine on the whiteboard and being like, that's really cool. Like, it looks like a whole nother language. I really like the flow of it. And I thought, I think that's going to be my gymnastics tattoo. Because I knew that when I was done with gymnastics, I wanted to get a tattoo to commemorate my career. I just didn't know what. And, it's not like you can get a balance beam tattooed on your arm or anything like that. Like, that would just look silly. And so I think that was the first thing I saw that, okay, that looks really cool. Like, I want to get something like that. I thought maybe just my series, maybe a few skills, but it was an idea that I had, and I had planned to get it in 2023 after I retired. That was the plan. But then I took off traveling, and I was in all these different countries, and I just didn't have the chance to really plan it out and get it. And then I thought, okay, when I come back from traveling in 2024, then I'll get it. And then I committed to doing a whole nother year of gymnastics. Okay, wait, I have to do this when I'm done with gymnastics. That's the plan. And so I joke about how that really worked out perfectly because I didn't get an old, 2023 routine tattooed I just didn't have a chance to. And so it just kind of worked out timing wise that I had this year that I had, and I was like, I can get Tatooe a routine that got a perfect 10-0. Like that just added the extra sweetness to it.
Yeah.
And so I did a bunch of research. I found all the little symbols. I might have gotten one or two wrong. I hope not, but
no one's gonna know. No one's gonna be like, no, Helen, that is wrong. That symbol, fix that symbol. I don't even know what they are.
Right. But yeah, I can give you a little tour. Actually, there's some that I didn't really show because it was still healing and in saran wrap. But I wanted it to be a full armband, and so the inside here, it says balance in cursive in very fine line.
Oh yeah, you can see it. Yep, you can see it. Yep.
That's cool. Then it continues, and then that's like the order of my routine. So it's got my mount, my turn, my aerial, body wave, split jump, split 3/4, my scorpion, ring hold, whatever you call it. I think this is my backward roll. And then this is my Valdez handstand thing. You called it something different.
The
Jason.
Diamond-off. It's a Diamond-off on men's P-bars. It's like a Diamond-off. That's what the Valdez full pirouette is. It's a Diamond-off. And a lot of people don't call it that. And like someone said that on social media. Say, yeah, it's like a men's Diamond-off. Like, no, it's not. It's a Valdez. I'm like, well, yeah, that's in women's gymnastics. But technically, it is a Diamond-off movement. It's on parallel bars.
Good to know. Yeah. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, so that's my Valdez thing. And then that last bit is the gainer pike, and then I had extra room because I think my arm was just bigger than the tattoo artist thought it was. So when she got the stencil on, we just had this extra gap of space. She said, "What do you want to do? Like, what are we gonna do with it?" And so, I don't know if you can see it, but
it's a smiley face, a face.
Yeah, it's a little smiley face with a tongue out.
That's awesome. I love that.
Well,
yeah, so that was a fun because I thought there was a couple of routines that it became a tradition towards the postseasons. When I did my scorpion hold, I'd stick my tongue out to be a little silly, and so.
Well, should just put the worm thing. What was like on the podium after your final routine? You did the worm. That should be on there too, right at the end. That's my final piece of gymnastics. The worm. Forgot about that, but that's crazy.
That's so fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I love that. That's so great. Yeah. I have a friend who actually has an entire gymnastics sleeve, like. Wow. From here to here, she has like her favorite tumbling pass with the little girls from the book. Wow. She has Nadia's perfect 10 scoreboard and Nadia like looking back. She has giants around her elbow. Wow. She has Kim Zameskel's planche from Beam. Mm-hmm. I think she has a vault table actually. She does. She has a vault to cover up an old tattoo. Yeah, her whole arm. She has pit foam, I think. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's actually cool. At Oklahoma, I believe it was Nadia Comaneci who was attending the meet, and she was the first gymnast to get a 10-0. Yep. And so she was really excited, and we took a photo together after. That was a really cool moment too. Like,
that's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, so I got to meet her, and she was like, "I got the first 10 like ever, and you got the first one this season." So like, it was a fun little moment.
Oh, good old Nadia.
Right.
So we've come to the end of our journey here, but your journey in life has continued because you're journeying around Europe right now. So tell us a little bit about your trip to Europe and stopping at European Championships to watch Kaya. I know that was big on Inside Gymnastics about how y'all were there. So just talk a little bit about, your little travels in Europe and, seeing Kaya at Europeans and how Europeans went and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, those plans also kind of came together last minute and spontaneous for me, kind of like coming back to Mizzou in the first place. I've always been close with Jossie, but Jossie was really close with Mara. So they had this plan after graduation that she was going to visit Netherlands and Mara was going to show her around. And that had been in the plans for a long time. And then I showed up December and I actually became really close with Mara because, that's just how it happens. And so we got really close and they invited me to join the plans after graduation. And for a while, I couldn't commit to it because I wasn't sure what I was doing in the summer yet. And so it wasn't until a few months ago, I was like, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can come. And so they already had all these plans to go to the Netherlands for a week and then drive to Germany to see Kaya perform in the Europeans. And so I just kind of hopped in on all these plans that they had already made. So I was like, great, I'm just along for the ride. I don't have to plan anything. And so I booked the flights and now I'm here. And I've never gotten to attend such a big elite competition and watch both men and women's gymnastics. It was really exciting.
Yeah, when Jason said you were in Europe for 3 weeks, like it slightly dawned on me because I have like you and Lisa on Instagram and I like on my own, and I was like clicking through. I'm like, wait a minute, they're all together okay, I get it now. Now I know why we're in Europe for 3 weeks. And so I was wondering before Europeans if you guys would actually go and watch her. So that's very cool that you guys did.
Yeah, when you told me, I didn't put two and two together at all. I didn't even think like that was even so.
Yeah, no, it was super cool that we got to go watch and seeing Kaya perform routines that, she won't really have the chance to, or that I never got a chance to see her compete in college. I certainly saw her training it all the time, which is really impressive. But to see her really perform and put out some of her best routines was really cool to see. And getting to see the mixed team finals, which is a very new thing.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, that was cool. She got to compete with her boyfriend. So that was also a really unique little story for them.
Yeah, they're the cutest ever. Like their little heart thing that they were so cute. I saw the pictures. I was like, you guys are adorable. Stop. So.
Yeah, and I got to meet him, which, for many months on campus, I only saw his face on Kai's phone on FaceTime. And I would room with her and I would talk to him over FaceTime. And so I finally got to meet him in person. So that was cool.
That's awesome. How can you best describe your gymnastics career and how it prepared you for the next chapter of the book of Helen HU and your book of life?
I'd say my career was extremely unpredictable, grueling, and rewarding. There's more to it, but it definitely put me through some of the hardest and some of the best times of my life. And I think how it prepared me for the rest of my life is I can walk away with, I guess, the confidence knowing that I can handle whatever comes at me. I know now, after everything that I've been through, that I'm tough and that I'm competent and that I'm hardworking. And so those are things that no one can ever take away from me. That's a part of me. And so I can apply that to whatever I decide to next. And I know that I will achieve great things because I can apply all of those qualities of myself to it.
That's awesome.
I like it.
Most people know HU DAT is your famous tagline on Instagram and what have you. But, for those who don't know how to follow you or what have you, how do they follow you so they can, continue, experiencing Helen HU as she ventures the world, as you, I'm sure, will?
I probably post most frequently to my Instagram account, HU DAT Gymnast, which is a name I came up with in 6th grade and probably will have forever now. That's
awesome. Everyone knows it. HU DAT. Love it. Well, Helen, thank you so much. We obviously wanted to do this because this year has been, we're glad you came back. When we heard you were coming back, it was awesome. We look forward to every competition. Like I said, I sat through regionals. I'm at pins and needles, watching you do beam. But we're happy you came back. We enjoyed this year, and we're thankful that you were able to come back on and take some time in your trip to come back on the College Salute and talk with us. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome job and congratulations. Can't take it away. Obviously, your last routine of your life, and you can't take the national title away. You got the tattoo. Everything ended perfectly.
Yep.
Helen HU was the star. We love it. So, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a lot like a movie, honestly.
Yeah, there may be a movie in the works. So who knows? We'll see.
Yes, you could be like a Lifetime, a Netflix movie.
Exactly. So
yes.
But Helen, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We know you enjoy our podcast and want more people to find out how awesome it is because, hello, it is. So please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the Region 5 Insider podcast. Thanks again to Full Out Recruiting for all your continued support, as well as all of our listeners. We could not do all of this without your support. Follow us on all of our social media accounts for the most up-to-date information on what's going on with our Region 5 alums all season long.
Thanks again to Helen for taking time during her journey around Europe to come chat with us. What a great ending to a wonderful career. However, we are just getting started with our Alumni Convo Pod season, and our next alumni guest has a lot to do with the Sooners' success in 2025. OU soon-to-be senior Faith Torres will join us next, so keep your eye out for that and more info on our upcoming Alumni Convo podcasts. And we'll talk to you soon for more spine-saving coverage of our Region 5 alums. And always remember to follow, like, and subscribe. Peace out, Region 5.
Five, 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 five.
I'm a Region 5. Ready or not, here I come, coming in hot. I'ma take my body for a spin.